This is WJZ News at 6.
A suspect is dead and a U.S. Marshal is fighting for his life in the hospital after a shooting in West Baltimore. Hello, everyone. I'm Vic Carter.
And I'm Denise Koch.
U.S. Marshals say they were trying to serve an arrest warrant when the suspect started shooting at them.
Now, we have team coverage on this developing story. Rachel Carden is at shock trauma with more on the deputy's condition. But we begin with Avajoy Burnett. She is live at City Police headquarters with the latest on the investigation. Avajoy.
Good evening. Well, we are learning the suspect who was shot and killed this morning was actually a security guard at a grocery store. And officials say a warrant was out for his arrest after an incident at that store. But they're also saying when they showed up at a home this morning, he started shooting. A suspect who was wanted for attempted murder and armed robbery charges is now dead. Officials say Dante Green was shot and killed after he started shooting at U.S. Marshals who were trying to arrest him.
While clearing a residence associated with Green, members of the SRT began taking fire from an individual hiding in a closet. The deputy U.S. Marshals returned fire, striking the shooter, who was later identified as Green.
Green died at the scene, and a deputy U.S. Marshal was also shot in the process. The shooting happened this morning on North Mount Street in West Baltimore. Green was a security guard at a grocery store, and police say he was wanted on 19 charges after he had a shootout with officers just this past Saturday at his job. The incident apparently stemmed from a disagreement about his paycheck.
This is an incident that we just had this weekend, and it shows how proactive the department is being.
The deputy U.S. Marshal, who is still at shock trauma, is yet another member of law enforcement to be shot in the line of duty in just a matter of days. Wednesday, 2 FBI agents were killed in Florida as they tried to execute a warrant in a child pornography case.
It goes without saying, going after violent offenders is one of the most dangerous jobs in America.
Officers blocked off several streets for hours near Gilmore Homes as the investigation unfolded near people's front doors.
I'm just sorry he lost his life with the fight. If you're wrong, just surrender. You will see another day.
Now, Baltimore City Police are investigating this case that left a suspect dead and a deputy U.S. Marshal injured. Live tonight, Avajoy Burnett for WJZ.
Avajoy, thank you. Rachel Carden continues our team coverage now.
She is live at shock trauma with more on the Marshal's condition. Rachel.
Well, we know that Dr. Scalia here at Shock Trauma said that Marshal was shot multiple times. He already went into surgery, and now he's fighting for his life in the ICU, currently on life support.
The execution of a search warrant ended in gunfire.
One deputy U.S. Marshal was shot and seriously injured.
A deputy U.S. Marshal assigned to the fugitive task force was hit.
The task force members evacuated him from the scene with gunshot wounds to the University of Maryland, our Adams-Cowley Shock Trauma Center.
Dr. Thomas Scalia at Shock Trauma says the Marshal was shot in the torso and arrived in bad shape.
We got him rapidly evaluated and into the operating room. We are done with his surgery. He is up in the intensive care unit, but still on life support.
While his team remains hopeful, he says,
but you just never know. It's just too early.
As the U.S. Marshal Service waits outside the hospital for updates on the condition of their brother.
The injured deputy marshal is a member of our special operations group and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps.
They extend their thoughts to him and his family, praying he pulls through.
Now, we do have crews following the condition of this U.S. Marshal deputy, again, still here being treated at shock trauma. We also want to mention that Governor Larry Hogan tweeted out that he and the First Lady are sending their thoughts and prayers to this U.S. Marshal. They say they're praying for a speedy recovery for his friends and family and for his caregivers here at the hospital. We're live outside of shock trauma. I'm Rachel Carden for WJZ.
All right, thank you, Rachel. And we will stay on top of any updates coming out of this situation. We will bring you the latest both on air and online. And you can also find updates on our mobile app.
Pardon me, now to the coronavirus pandemic. Pardon me. Maryland reports 1,500 new infections. Hospitalizations dropped along with the positivity rate. New mass vaccination sites are set to open in Maryland, even though the state has a shortage of doses.
Now, fewer than 2% of Marylanders have been fully vaccinated, and only 8% have received their first dose. WJZ investigator Mike Helgen is live at the Zeta Center, a testing site in Park Heights, and he has more on these vaccine supply problems. Mike.
Denise, Vic, that big problem is the lack of vaccines. Local health officials say they're opening larger vaccination sites because they want to be ready when they eventually do get more supply. And it's urgent that people get vaccinated because of dangerous, more contagious new strains circulating in Maryland. Baltimore County opened a new mass vaccination site at the Randallstown Community Center. The problem? They admitted they do not have enough vaccine right now to meet demand.
You can see we're ready. Why the place is so empty today is a lack of vaccine.
The county says the state provided 3,000 fewer doses this week compared to last. Local health departments statewide have complained the number of doses have been cut almost in half as Maryland ramps up for mass vaccination sites like the one set to open Friday at the Baltimore City Convention Center. Baltimore County's health officer is also a COVID survivor.
COVID is one of those diseases that I would not wish on my worst enemy.
He spoke about building trust in communities of color. In Baltimore County, despite African Americans being 30% of the population, only 11% have registered for vaccinations.
This is not an experiment.
So go ahead, pull up that sleeve.
Among those getting vaccinated here, leaders of New Shiloh Baptist Church, whose son recovered from the virus.
We were blessed that he made it through. It is a very vicious virus, so since the vaccine came out, I did not hesitate.
In Baltimore City, the health department is so short on vaccines, it's not taking any more first dose appointments this month.
We will be holding a hearing to find out where those vaccines have gone.
Councilman Yitzi Schleifer says on top of that, the health department closed the testing site at the Zeta Center for bad weather, turning many away.
And that is not available for them. So that is just not acceptable.
The health department says it was just too icy to have testing here today, but they were open for testing at the Baltimore City Convention Center. And as we mentioned, that will turn into one of the state's mass vaccination sites starting tomorrow. Reporting live at the Zeta Center in Northwest Baltimore, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
Mike, thank you. Howard County's health department is rolling out shots for educators to speed up the return to school. But as we've been telling you, there's not enough to go around. WJZ is live at Howard Community College. Rachel Minitoff shows us inside the clinic and tells us how many more vaccines they need to get all the teachers up to date. Rachel.
Vic, 1,100 people with Howard County Public Schools got their first dose of the vaccine, but there are 7,500 members of the teachers union here, many of whom will not be able to get a vaccine before school starts on March 1st.
All right, here we go.
Troy Todd is an elementary school principal at Hanover Hills in Howard County. He's among the first group of Howard County Public School administrators and staff to get a COVID vaccine.
Try and relax that muscle.
We're excited overall just to be able to get back to a little bit of normalcy.
Todd, like many people here, has been going into school regularly. Up until now, there hasn't been many students in class, but Governor Hogan is urging school districts to start reopening March 1st. It's a decision that has many teachers on edge.
And that's their right and their prerogative to wonder how is this all going to play out with these timelines that we're looking at.
Colleen Morris with the Teachers Union says some teachers are slated to return as early as February 22nd, well before they have a second dose or even a first one.
There's no way that all educators will be immunized before we go back, unless the board changes the timeline.
Howard Community College opened Thursday exclusively to the public school system to show them how to operate their own clinics.
This is like a training so that they can understand how we set up, how the best flow for people to go through the system is.
Debbie Addix works with maintenance at HCPSS.
Didn't feel a thing. Yeah, we're around a lot of people, so we don't want to spread anything.
She says armed with the vaccine, she's ready to welcome students back to the classroom.
That's why we're all doing it.
Another challenge here in Howard County is that the health department only received 2,000 doses of the vaccine this week, which is 56% below what it received last week. So it's hard to maintain clinics like this one when there's not enough vaccine to give out. We're live in Howard County tonight. I'm Rachel Menitoff for WJZ.
Frustration we've been seeing a lot of. Thank you very much. Well, students will return to the classroom in a hybrid format in Anne Arundel County. The plan starts on March the 1st for elementary students. Students in all grades are expected to be back by March the 22nd. The plan is to have one group of students attending class in person either on Monday and Tuesday or Thursday and Friday. All learning will be virtual on Wednesday when schools will undergo a cleaning.
Well, the Flower Mart at Mount Vernon will be mostly virtual this year. The market encourages flower, plant, and vegetable gardening in homes and vacant lots. Now, last year, you'll remember, it had to be canceled because of the pandemic, of course. And while it will be mostly online, organizers are planning to sell the signature lemon stick as a kit for people to take and make at home. The virtual Flower Mart will take place April 30th to May 1st.
The only thing I would worry about right now is if I was trying to do it at home is where to get the peppermint sticks. That's all.
They're going to send them to you in the kit.
Well, I understand that, but if I were not doing it with the kit.
That's right.
Well, the sun came back out today and melted some of the snow and ice.
And taking a live look outside, it is dry right now, but rain is coming. And let's go over to meteorologist Meg McNamara for more. Meg.
Yes, so I will say we're going to get another round of sunshine tomorrow, but we have rain and a wintry mix to get through overnight before we can just enjoy that. So the temperatures here, we've fallen down into the upper 30s for some of us. BWI, we're still holding on there in the 40s, checking in 41 degrees. The satellite and radar, so all that sunshine that we had, yep, now the clouds, they have moved on in, and there is plenty of them. As we look just west of Maryland, seeing some green there, some rain, and then of course a little bit of pink, a wintry mix. So what will happen is all of us are going to see some form of precipitation overnight. I think starting right after midnight and then wrapping up right around 6 or 7 in the morning. For Baltimore, places to the south, just rain, but there are pockets of a wintry mix, even some wet snowflakes north and west, and that could lead to slick spots out on the road tomorrow morning. So keep in mind. And then, of course, we'll talk about your weekend coming up in the full forecast. Vic, Denise.
Okay, Meg, thank you very much. Still to come tonight on WJZ.
Security experts say domestic terrorism will be a threat for years to come. I'm Natalie Brand with what they say led up to the January 6th Capitol attack.
A Republican congresswoman expressing regret over her recent controversial comments, what Marjorie Taylor Greene is now saying about school shootings and September the 11th.
And Terps head coach Brenda Freese looks to reach a major milestone. Mark has that story coming up in sports.